Okay, guys, welcome to the Linux Fundamentals Part 2 room, and we are going to explore these. And there is a little introduction that is, as usual, I recommend you to read. And let's move on to the main task, the task 2, which is about you have to start your mission or connect it using attack box. I just connected it using the OpenVPN. I just connected it using sudo OpenVPN and the configuration file. If you don't know how to download the configuration file, you can just click here and go to the manage account. From there you will have an option called VPN. From there you will have the option to download the configuration file, things like that. So what we are going to do after connecting, then we have to connect it using SSH, which is a secure shell. If you don't know, SSH is a secure shell. So yeah, you don't have to bother a lot about SSH here. You can just connect it using SSH using the command shown here. Like, this is how you can connect. So once you start the mission, you will get an IP here. Once this IP is displayed here, then only you will be able to see the IP here. Okay, so now we have the username TryHackMe. Like, SSH is the secure shell protocol. That is what we are going to connect, and the TryHackMe is the username, and at the right, the IP address of the target mission that we are going to connect. Okay, so I just using my mission, entering the command. Yes, entering S, and we need the password. I think, yeah, TryHackMe is the password, is also TryHackMe that is mentioned here. Let's enter that here. That's it. So now we are inside this particular mission. Now when you enter ls, you can see there are some files. Let's move on. So this is how you can just basically connect it using SSH, like SSH space username at the IP address. After that, it will prompt you to enter the password. Okay, you have to enter the password. Then it's done. Okay, so this is the pictorial representation of that in the attack box. I highly recommend you to use your own local mission. So that is far more better in my personal opinion. Sometimes you will get the mission, like the attack box seems to be better in your case maybe, but I personally find that local mission feels pretty good. So as you know that we have the ls command, as you learned in the previous section. Ls is to list. As we enter the ls here, we were able to list the files here, right? So other than that, we have a ls minus a command in order to view the hidden directories. You can see there will be hidden directories, right? So in Linux, you can call the hidden directories. If you want to make a file or directory hidden, you have to put a dot in the front of that particular file, so it is going to hidden. Like when I enter ls, I can see that there is important, my file, my folder, unknown one. Right, we have a command called mv, guys. This is basically for moving the file, but this can also be used for renaming the file. I'm going to showing you that. There we have a file called important, right? So in order to move that important into dot important, so what will happen? It is going to hidden. I just move the important file here, this file, into dot important. Now when I enter ls, I'm not able to see that, right? Because that file is now hidden. When you enter ls minus a, then only you will be able to see the hidden file, right? So in order to rename or move, then you can just use the mv command and the file that you want to move and where you want to move. Right, so now I just make this as before. Like that, you can just use the same in the my folder also in order to hide a folder. Okay, so let's move on. And we also have the help menu in order to get the help menu of how you can use the command like ls minus minus help, or any other tool name like cat minus minus help will list the help menu, and which has a lot of options like minus a for do not ignore entry starting with the dot, so that is that meaning. And like that, you can just use various switches according to your needs. Okay, so this is the help menu, and this is how you can take the help menu of a command. So we just take the help menu of the command like ls space minus minus help. Like that, you can also use cat space minus minus help in order to view the help menu of cat command. Like that, you can just use the minus minus help for all of the commands to get the help menu of those commands. Okay, so now we have the man. In order to get the manual of a command, then you can just use the man space ls, right? So it will list the manual of the ls, list directory contents and some description and some switches. We can call these as switches. Okay, so for our use cases, so this is how you can just take the manual, just man space the like for example, if you want to get the manual of cat, then you can just use cat space man space cat, right? So like that, you can just take the manual of any command using the man. Okay, so explore the manual page of ls command. So we have to explore the manual page of ls command. Here it is. So, and what directional arrow key would we use to navigate down the manual page? They are talking about arrow key. Here I'm just using the mouse key, right? So you can just use the keyboard down key, guys. So there will be keys like up key, left key, right key, down key, right? So like that, we can just use the down key in the keyboard in order to move down into a manual, right? So that's fantastic. So what flag would we use to display the output in a human readable way? So they are calling this as flags. So we have to find a flag that is for human readable. Here it is, guys. For human readable, we have a flag called -h, right? You can call the switches or flags, anything that you want. Okay, so and let's move on to the task 4, which is something that we explored before, like the find, the ls, the cd, changing directory, things like that is we already explored in the previous video, right? So we have another command called touch in order to create a file. We have a command called mkdir for making a directory, like creating a folder, like cp for copy a file or folder, like mv, that is what we use right now for moving, like move a file or folder, rm for remove, and file for knowing the type of the file. Okay, I will show you that. Let's start with the, let's quit this manual by pressing q. You can just quit the manual by pressing q. Okay, so now when I enter ls, I'm able to see we have important, my file, my folder, unknown, etc. If I want to create a file, touch cyberark will create cyberark. Right, when I enter ls, I'm able to see that I created a file called cyberark using the touch command. Right, that's fantastic, right? So now if I want to create a directory will be in this particular color. So other than that, we have to list the permission by entering ls-l, which will list the permissions of the files, guys. So here in these are file permissions, guys. Like the R stands for read permission, the W stands for write permission, and there will be X stands for the execute permission. These are some of the file permissions. And if there is a D at the beginning, then that means it's a directory, but there will be no D. But here we have a D at the beginning, right? So that means this is a directory. So you can see from the color also, it's my folder is in different color. The rest of them are white and this one is blue, right? So you will be able to identify that it's a directory. Other than colors, you can also find it using the permissions. By listing the permissions, if the permission has D in front of it, then it's pretty much means that it's a directory. Okay, I hope that one is clear. In order to create a directory, you can just enter mkdir, subscribe, like that. So when I enter ls, okay, just spell it wrong. So yeah, you can see subscribe directory was here, right? So like that, what you can see, this is how you can just create a directory using the mkdir. In order to create a directory, you can just use the mkdir command, right? Other than that, we also have cp for copy, move, etc, etc, right? So yeah, I'm just showing that in my own machine. Like this is my file in my own machine. I have in the downloads directory, you can see there will be only this vpn configuration file. So when I move to this particular directory, we have a file called sql.txt, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this sql.txt into the downloads, right? So cp for copy, the file name that you want to copy is the next thing, and where you want to copy. So cp for copy, the file name that you want to copy, where you want to copy. This is how you specify. It's done. Now when you move to the downloads directory, you can see the sql.txt is here, right? And then I move back, and here the sql.txt is here also, because we just copied, we just moved it, right? So let's learn with move. So there will be game.txt right? So I'm just moving that. Move can also be used to rename files, as you've seen before. That is why I highly recommend don't skip any part of this video, because most of these things that I'm showing is highly important. So move if is for moving. So this is the game.exe. I'm just going to move into the downloads directory. This is how you can move. Now the game.txt was not existed here, like it was gone from the current directory. Now I'm moving to the downloads. You can see the game.txt is here, right? So like that, you can just use the mv for moving files. So mv space the file name that you want to move and the directory that you want to move from, move to. Okay, so yeah, mv for move, the file name, the directory that you want to move. Okay, so I hope that one is clear. Move can also be used for renaming the file. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. Instead of specifying directory here, if I specify another file name, then I can just rename this. For example, let's rename the game.exe into something called aa.exe. Now when I enter ls, you can see it is renamed to aa.exe. If you specify a directory name, then it will move this particular file into that particular directory name. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. That's some about the move command, guys. So cp for copy, cp space the file name that you want to copy, the directory that you want to copy. Like that, you can use the move. mv for move, the file name that you want to move, the directory that you want to move to. Okay, so this is about cp and mv. Great. So I hope that's clear. If not, just a little bit move back and watch this video again so that you'll definitely gonna understand that. Okay, so other than that, we also have rm file for removing. So here we have the file, right? Cyberark is here, my file, and things like that. So let's remove the Cyberark. So by entering rm Cyberark, you can just remove the file. Now you can see there will be no Cyberark because I just used the rm space Cyberark. It will remove that particular file. Now when I enter ls, there is no such file there. Right, it's removed. So using the rm, you can just remove files. But we have a command called file in order to determine the type of the file. So let's determine the type of the file. So from here, we have the file command, my file. Okay, there will be my file, right? So when I enter that, it's basically an ASCII text. This is how you can determine the type. So here we also have aa.exe in my case. Let's determine the type of this aa.exe, and you can see it's data. Like that, you can just determine the type of the file using the file command in Linux. Right, I hope that's clear. So now let's move on, and this is something that we explored already. So in order to remove a directory, then you can just use the -r for recursive, guys. So here we also have subscribe directory. When I enter subscribe rm subscribe, sometimes it is going to delete, but sometimes it won't. So in this case, you can see cannot remove subscribe, right? It's basically a directory. Yeah. So you can't remove the subscribe using rm. So in that case, you can just use the -R. So if you use that, it is going to remove. Now it's removed, right? So this is for recursive, for removing mostly directories. And I am going to teach you a command called rm-rf, which is also a great command for forcefully removing all of the files. You can just use this particular command for removing the files that you want. For example, when I enter rm space aa.exe, that's removed. So cool. So in most cases, you can see if a file or directory cannot remove using the rm, then you can just use the rm-rf. Let's create a directory called AAAA. So here is the directory, and under rm AAAA, its directory, it can't be removed. So you can't use rm to remove this particular directory. So in that case, you can just use the rm-rf in order to remove all, right? So remove forcefully. Now it's removed. So I recommend you to learn this command. This is for removing everything. You can just use the rm-rf, guys. Forcefully removing everything, you can just use the rm-rf. So this is the only command that you need to concentrate in order to remove files, directories, or anything that you want. Okay, so rm-rf, take a note and note it, guys. So that's it. Now let's move on. There will be copy, we done that, move, we done that, and file, we done that. So now we have to answer, like, how would you create the file name new note? New note is a file you can just create using that. Which command, guys? Think about it. Think about it. mkdir is for creating the directory, guys. So what about touch? Yes, touch is used for creating file, while mkdir is used for creating the directory, or you can call it as folder also, right? So here in this case, it's touch. That's fantastic, right? So on the deployable machine, what is the file type of unknown one in the TryHackMe's home directory? So in the home directory, we have the unknown one file, right? Okay, we have to determine the type of the file, right? So you can just use the file space unknown one, which is going to reveal the type of the file. It's basically an ASCII text, right? So like that, you can just determine the type of the file, right? So that's cool, right? So now let's move on. How would you move my file to the directory my folder? That's fantastic. So how would you move that, guys? So there is a file called my file. You want to move to the directory my folder. How would you do that? Have you remember the command? Yes, which tool that we use, like mv for moving, right? So the file name that you want to move, what is that? Remember? Yes, the file name from the question, you can see it's my file, right? So that's the name of the file that we want to move, right? So let's enter the my file and the directory that you want to move, my folder, right? So this is how you can just move that, right? So what are the contents of the file? So there will be file, I think. What are the contents of the file? Oof. What are the contents of this file? This file, maybe they are talking about my folder, I think. Let's move on to the my folder using the cd command. Cd space my folder, we can move to that particular directory. There will be nothing. So maybe they are talking about my file. So let's view the my file using the cat command, guys, right? Cat is for viewing the file, right? So here it is, guys, we get it. So cat is for viewing the file, right? As an alternative, you can also use less, guys. So you can just use the less command. Sometimes less is going to help you in terms of other scenarios, like if you're in FTP. Less can be also used as an alternative for sometimes for the some scenarios. That's something to keep in mind. Less, okay? So I'm just quitting Control Set. Oh yeah. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. So now that's it. So continue to apply your knowledge and practice the commands from this task. Okay. So now let's move on to the task 5, which is about the permission, guys. So as we discussed, there will be ls minus l, or you can also use ls minus ls in order to list the permissions. We already told that, right? So ls minus l or ls minus lh, the both seems to be similar, but it's there will be k. And if you specify h, then it will be in human readable format, right? So as we discussed before, right? So you can also list the permission using commands like this. And now what we can do is we have permissions like R for read, W for write, and X for execute, right? So I have a dedicated video about chmod and permission things. So you can just watch that video, guys. So we also have another command called su for switching between users. So you can use the su command. So let's enter the who am I to see who you are. Now you are TryHackMe. So let's enter the PWD to know your current location. Now we are in home TryHackMe. Once you move a little bit back using cd space dot dot, you are now in home, not in home TryHackMe, you are in home, right? So when you enter ls, there will be other users like TryHackMe, Ubuntu, user 2. We are TryHackMe, you can move to Ubuntu or user 2. In order to move to another user, then you can just use the su command, guys. Right? So user 2 is not existed, right? Here, yeah, you don't have to specify the slash. So su space the username to move to that particular user. If you have the password, then you can move to that or switch to that particular user from the TryHackMe, right? So in order to switch between users, you can use the su command, guys. Okay, so there will be minus L also, like for login switch. So here you can also use the su minus L. Let me show you that also for login switch. You can also use su user 2 or minus l user 2, guys, based on your requirements. So after using minus l, our new session has dropped us into the home directory of user automatically. So let's see if we have any password of that particular user too. So if you read the manual of su, you will be able to see the purpose of minus l right here. It is right. So start the still as login shell with an environment similar to real login. If you want that, then you can just use the minus l, guys. So I think if I get a password, that will be great. Maybe the user 2's password is TryHackMe. No, maybe the password is user 2. Yes, guys, user 2's password is user 2. So when I use the su space user 2, I'm currently in the current directory, right? It will be in the home directory, right? So when I enter pwd, I'm in home, right? So my directory doesn't change, right? So if you use the minus l, guys, you will move to that particular user's home directory like that. Let's switch user to TryHackMe with minus l. Okay, switch user minus l, TryHackMe. Now, when I enter the password TryHackMe, you are now in the home directory of TryHackMe, right? So now we are in home TryHackMe. If you want to move to that home directory of specific user, then you can just use the minus L. If you don't use that, you will be switched to that particular user without the home directory with your current directory. If you want to move to that particular user's home directory, then you have to use the minus L, guys. Like minus L, we used su user 2, and we are currently we just moved to that particular user. Now we can see the user changed, but our directory doesn't change, right? We are currently in the home directory, and after switching user, we are in the existing home directory, right? But after using minus l, you can see I just switched user to TryHackMe. I'm now in the home TryHackMe, right? So like that way you can use the user 2 with the minus l. If you use the minus l, then let's see what happens. Now you can see we are in the home user 2. In order to move to that particular user's home directory, you can use the -L in SU, guys. If you don't use -L, you will be in the current directory, and but you are going to switch between users, but you are not going to move to the home directory of that particular user. You are in your current directory where you switched the user. Okay, if you use the -L, you will be going to the home directory of that specific user. Okay, so that's the purpose of that. And this is about permissions, guys. R for read, write, execute, right? So there will be three users in mostly in three groups. You can call as the three users, like the owner, the group, and others. I have made a dedicated video representing this about chmod. You have to watch that video in order to understand better, guys. So I will attach that video about chmod in the I button. You can just watch that, guys. So you can just the I button, there will be somewhere you will be able to see the chmod video. So yeah, R stands for read, and W stands for write, and X stands for the execute, right? So these are some three permissions that we can see in Linux, right? Some common three permissions, right? So other than that, we have users like owner, group, and others. Right, so we have values for read permission, we have the value 4. For write permission, we have the value 2. And for execute permission, we have the value 1, guys. So these are some of the permission examples. So owner RWX means owner has all the permission, read, write, and execute. In numerical world, you can call it as 4 plus 2 plus 1, it's 7. So like that, it's similar for all, right? So yeah, I have made a dedicated video about chmod. If you watch that, then you will have a better understanding of that. So in short, I will show you that here. If you enter ls or ls minus la, you can see these are permissions, right? There will be three users, right? The owner, group, and others. The first three permissions here, right? So I mark this. So ignore the first one. So I'm just putting this into a mouse pad so that you will have a better understanding. Okay, now ignore this. Okay, this one is for specifying if it is a directory or not. So this in this case, it's not directory. The first three permissions, this is for the owner, guys. The first three is for owner. The next three is for group, and the another three is for others. This is how you can call the permissions as. If this has R, W, and hyphen, there will be read write permission for owner. If it has R hyphen hyphen, that means the group has read only permission, and others also have read only permission. If you enter X here, then it means others have read and execute permission. If you enter RW here, others has read, write, and execute permission. So this is something to keep in mind. I highly recommend you to explore my chmod video so that you will have a better understanding of permissions. So it's something that I have to spend a ton of times to explain the comments so that you will have a better understanding. Okay, so yeah, just check it out. So after that, you can come here. Okay. So there will be two modes, guys, in terms of permissions. Like we have symbolic mode and octal mode or numerical mode. In symbolic mode, you will see permissions, like you can assign permissions using the symbols, while the numeric mode, you have to use numbers in order to assign permissions. I will show you an example by creating a file here in my own Kali Linux. I'm just creating a file called 123. Now here in the 123, so here in the 123, let's list only 123. You can see the permissions, right? This is the permissions of 123, right? So 123 has read write permission for owner, read write permission for group, and read only permission for others, right? So you have to learn in order. It's for owner. First three is for owner, second three is for group, and third three is for others. Okay, now you can just use the command chmod. In terms of symbolic mode, if you want to assign execute permission to the owner, then you can just give the symbol. The symbol of owner is U, and the symbol of group is G, and symbol of others is O. Okay, so we are going to assign owner to execute permission. So I used U, and for adding permission, I enter plus, and for execute permission, the symbol is X. Now I enter 1, 2, 3. Now, when I list the permission, you can see there will be execute permission. Like that, you can just give numbers in order to give permissions. Like we have 777 for giving all of the permission to the owner. Right, so owner, group, and others. So this first number is for owner, second number is for group, and third number is for others. Okay, so now when I enter 777, all of these users have all the permissions. So instead, when I enter 755, then the permissions will be the owner has all the permission. The 421, that's the read, write, and execute. As you can see here, 4 plus 2 plus 1 is 7. So if you want to give all permission, then you have to give 4 plus 2 plus 1, right? So if you give 5, that means it's 4 plus 1, right? So 4 is for the read and 1 is for execute. It's 4 plus 1, right? So read and execute permission. So now you can see read and execute permission for group and read and execute permission for others. Like that, you can just use the permission. If you don't understand this, then you have to definitely need to watch the video that I mentioned in the I button. Okay, about chmod. Okay, and ch on. There will be chmod and ch on video that I already created. You have to watch that in order to understand these permissions really better, because I have to explain a lot about it, so you will have a better understanding on that particular video. Okay, let's move on. And here you have questions like on the deployable machine, who is the owner of important? So here in this particular mission, so we have to switch back to TryHackMe. Okay, guys, now I'm in TryHackMe where there's an important file, right? So our question is on the deployment, who is the owner of the important? So in order to find the owner, like you can see the important, this is the owner, guys. That is why I demonstrated a video about chmod and ch on. You have to watch that video, which will teaches you what is the permissions and what is the owner and group, things like that, how you can change it, things like that. Okay, so the first one is the owner and the second one is the group. Okay, so this is the permissions and this is the owner and this is the group. The first one is the owner, second one is the group. In short, you can understand that the first one is the owner and second one is the group. If you want to understand deep and how to change this owner and group and things like that, you can watch the video. Okay, so now the owner is user 2. So what would be the command used to switch to the user 2? In order to switch between switch to user 2, you can just use su, right? Su user 2, as we discussed before, right? So now switch to this user using the password user 2. Yeah, user 2 is the password. Output the contents of important, what is the flag? So now we can see that the owner has read write permission and there will be important. The owner of the file is the owner of the important file is user 2. We are TryHackMe right now, right? So we are TryHackMe, right? So if you try to view that particular file important, you can't view that, guys. Sometimes you can't view that, but in this case we were able to view that, but in some scenarios you can't view that. But in this case you can see that there will be read write permission for the owner and group and others. So in this case we are others or group. Like in this case I think we are others, so that is the reason we were able to view this particular file. Okay, but what if we are not others? You can just change the permission using chmod, and I'm just going to remove the others permission, others read permission. If you don't understand this, I highly recommend you to watch the chmod and ch on my video. If you watch that video, then only you understand what I'm doing right now. Okay, I'm just going to remove the others read permission here on the important file. Okay, so it's not permitted, so let's use sudo and password is TryHackMe. Yes, we are not in this. We don't have permission to do that as of now. So anyways, if you don't have read permission for other users, then you won't be able to read this. If you want to switch to other user, like they're saying us to switch between user 2, you can just switch like this and view this important file. This is how they're saying about. So this is how you can do that. Okay, so here what we learned about some of the permissions like RWX and the numerical value and the three type of permission and three type of users: owner, group, and others. Owner you can call as U, and group is called as G, and others in short called as O. Okay. So other than that, we can move to the common directories, guys. This is about /etc. Have you heard of etc directory? So in Linux, we have the etc directory. When I enter ls -l/, you can see this, there will be a lot of directories in the root. We have the etc directory, guys. The owner is root and group is also root. This root directory is one of the most important root directories on your system, guys. The etc folder, short for etc. Oh, etc. So yeah, is a common place location to store system files that are used by your operating system. So this etc directory is where the common place in your Linux system that stores files that are used by your operating system, guys. For example, the sudo's file highlighted in the screenshot below contains a list of users and groups that have permission to run sudo or a set of commands as the root user. As highlighted below, the passwd are the passwd and shadow files. These two files are special for Linux as they show how your system stores the password for each user in an encrypted formatting called SHA-512. So these files, the passwd, the shadow file, these are some of the files that we can see. Like if you view the passwd file, it will be in the etc directory, right? This has some user related information and things like that. And we also have a shadow file which has the password hash, which includes a password hash which don't have permissions. Only root can view this particular file. All of these important files are stored in the etc directory, right? So that is what etc directory is about. And we have the var directory, guys. The var directory is, in short, you can call as the variable data, is one of the main root folders found on a Linux install. So this folder stores data that is frequently accessed or written by services or applications running on the system. For example, log files from running services and applications are written in var log directory, or other data that is not necessarily associated with a specific user, example database and the like, are stored in the var directory. We have var directory where we have the logs and things like that stored, guys. So when you move to the var log, you have this is the logs of the Linux log is stored in this var log directory. In terms of Windows, it's in the event viewer software, but in terms of Linux, it's stored in this var directory, guys. Okay. So other than that, we also have root directory, which is the home directory of the root user. In Linux, we have root user also. The home directory of root user is what we call in short as the root directory. So the normal user cannot move to the home directory of root, right? So permission denied. You need to become root in order to move to that particular directory, right? So other than that, we also have a temp directory, temporary directory, you can call us. So it is a volatile and it is used to store data that is only needed to be accessed or once or twice. Similar to the memory on your computer, once the computer is restarted, the contents of this folder are cleared out, guys. What's useful for us in pen testing is that any user can write to this folder by default, meaning once we have access to a machine, it serves as a good place to store things like our enumeration scripts and things like that. So that is where temporary directory comes in, guys. If you restart this machine, all of your files stored here will get removed. Okay, you can also assign and give permission to execute file scripts and many more in the temporary directory, guys. So yeah, that's really a good essential directory that is helpful for you in your pen testing journey, guys. Okay, it's about readme. What is the directory path that would we expect logs to be stored in? Logs, our logs are stored in the var log directory, right? So yeah, let's enter var log. So what root directory is similar to how RAM on a computer works? There will be a directory called /temp, right? So in your computer we have RAM. Once you restart your computer, all of your RAM contents will gone, right? It can't be restored, right? That is where the temporary directory in Linux, right? And name the home directory of root user. For root user, we have the home directory called /root, right? So this is where the home directory of root user, right? Now apply your learning and navigate through these directories on the deployed machine. We already done that, right? So now let's check it out, and there will be conclusions and summary, like connecting using SSH and flags, comments, manuals, and some of the other file system and its contents, and some permissions and switching users and things like that is what we learned in this entire video. I hope this video is informative for you guys. In the next video, we will be going to explore the Linux fundamentals part 3. Thanks for watching, guys.